everyone, and welcome to another episode of Career Cast. I am Devanshi Parekh of Class 11.
And I am Jigya Shamaria of Class 11.
We are from Mahadevi Billa Shishu Bihar, and we are your hosts for today's conversation. Our guest today is what you would describe as a rare talent who thinks on her feet and writes with aplomb, empathy, and objectivity on issues of vital concern to our society and culture. Miss Dola Mitra. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am.
Hello, good morning. Good morning.
Today
Thank
we
you for the introduction.
Today, we are delighted to be joined by someone who is a culture, music, and film enthusiast. Miss Mitra is also a distinguished author who has written a definitive and best selling biography of Mamta Banerjee, the Chief Minister of West Bengal. She covered Bengal and India's eastern region as an associate editor of The Outlook. Earlier, she was a reputed reporter at The Telegraph, and currently she edits the digital portal Kakku News and The Enchanted Nook. From observing the shenanigans of politics and politicians to casting a discerning eye on the human condition, Miss Mitra has been there and done it all with uncommon panache, tenacity, and skill. We cannot wait to hear about her journey, insights, and her advice for young learners like us. So let's get started, ma'am. Ma'am, today,
Thank you very much. Yeah.
ma'am, today we would like to know what inspired you to pursue journalism as a career, and when you were young, did you ever imagine yourself working in this field?
Yes, I before that just let me add that currently I'm editing the features I'm features editor of the Statesman, which I should have mentioned when they asked me to send that. So I just wanted to mention that. So I'm with the Statesman now as their features editor. Now getting back to your question, yes, would you believe that as a even when I was about your age, from class ninth grade, I knew that I would be a journalist. Why? Because, well, it was easy for me because my father, he was a journalist with the Voice of America. He was a broadcaster, reporter, and writer. And my father, though he never forced his opinion on any of us, me or my two sisters, he used to try and see who has a knack for what. So I used to do a lot of writing, creative writing, whether it's poetry, whether it's essays and other kind of reporting. So he uh, suggested that I enroll in my journalism class, in a journalism class in my school. This was in Virginia, Alexandria, Virginia, in the USA, where I was studying as a child when I was about your age. My entire school was there. So we had a wonderful journalism department. So I enrolled in journalism to study journalism in class 9. So, yes, to answer your question, I was aware since I was, about your age that I would be a reporter and a journalist. Yes. And I love the profession. I'm in the right profession by the grace of God. Yes.
That is a really inspiring answer, ma'am. As we know that AI
Thank
and
you.
social media have taken over the world right now. So do you think that AI and social media has changed or will change journalism?
Okay, that's a actually very good question. Now, the thing is that I am all for AI or any kind of progress, technological progress, any kind of progress is part of evolution. So, obviously, it's a part of it. However, I don't think that either AI or social media will ever really replace or take over journalism. Because I'll give you an example why. Because journalists are actually trained to report on news. We have to be very credible, and social media, especially things like if you are on Facebook or say Twitter, everybody has the freedom to pretty much write uh, you know their opinion, their their views, etc. But journalists are have to be very careful, very conscientious about what they are writing. Every letter, every word, every sentence has to be dealt with responsibly. So the moment you hear something, a journalist will not immediately form an opinion, go to social media and say, oh, this has happened. As a journalist, you are going to make sure that did that really happen? You will, you will try to go to the ground to eyewitness whether it has really happened. Then ask various people, interview others, get everybody's opinion before you actually write something. So social media and journalism are different in that way because social media is something where, like I was saying, everybody is entitled to say what they feel, express their feelings. But journalism is a very, very skilled profession where if you're going to be a journalist, if your career is going to be journalism, you cannot be irresponsible. Every word, every sentence has to have uh, authenticity, credibility, right? So, as a journalist, you have to be believable. Having said that, a lot of journalists are using AI, for instance, YouTube, to to do stories, to go to the ground. But I tend to believe the reports done by journalists who are actually trained to do journalism, or even if you're not trained, if you're following the kind of parameters which a credible journalist follows, which includes what I was saying is going to the ground, finding out for yourself, asking experts, asking people on the ground, and then establishing what is called quote unquote the truth, right? So that's so AI and social media can work for journalism, but it cannot replace journalism.
Thank you, ma'am. It was a
I
wonderful
hope that
line.
answers you. Thank
Yes.
you.
Having said that, ma'am, would you let us know what part of your career do you find most challenging and how did you manage to overcome that challenge?
Yeah, right. So I would say that if a person wants to be in journalism, the first thing they have to do is to be ready to face any kind of challenge, to deal with any kind of challenge. So to me, when I started out, I think there are various levels of challenges. It could be as simple as getting a phone number. Say you have been, you're going to do an interview. It's not always easy to, access the person that you're going to interview. So you have to first get hold of that contact, the contact numbers. You have to then approach them. They're not always going to be ready to speak to you. So, but but not in instead of being pushy, you have to try and convince them why you want to do the interview. So that's the very rudimentary level of the challenges. Getting to do the interviews, you have to try to face the challenges of people who will say no, and then you'll have to try and convince them that this is actually an important issue, an important topic. So, but that is absolutely at the very bottom rung of the challenges. The challenges actually increase as your journalistic work increases. For instance, I've covered pretty much the range of journalism, from stories which are very, relatively easy to do, to the ones which are extremely difficult. For instance, interviewing politicians and writing on politics, because in Outlook magazine, I was for 11 years, I was actually essentially, Outlook is a news magazine. So politics, covering politics was a very big part. So challenges, I'll get to that again, but also, I was covering conflict zones, like going to the jungles and to the mountains where there was a lot of insurgency happening. So I was interviewing those people. The challenges were, first of all, getting to them, and then also, once you get to them, you have to responsibly deal with them, in the sense that if you're going to interview a chief minister of a particular region, you have to understand the region, you have to understand what is that chief minister trying to do in the region, you have to understand what the people of that region want. You have to have a lot of understanding of that before you approach the person that you're going to interview. That's one. So you have to basically keep learning, and you have to try to meet them at their level by asking questions which are important for everybody, but at the same time something that they are able to relate to, where where you get the answers without, because it often happens that you're asking the wrong question in the wrong way, and it can backfire and you will come back without the interview. The other, of course, as I was saying, in interviewing insurgents, and for that you have to you have to also, like, it's the same principle that applies there as well. So you have to uh, understand them from their perspective. Though if an insurgent, if you're going to interview an insurgent, you cannot be judgmental that they are wrong, that they are, this is the way that they are you know dealing with society. You will have to understand from their perspective. So I that like the challenge comes after all this. The challenge is essentially, you, after you have done all this work, how do you walk the tightrope, and as a journalist come back and report it and write it. So responsibility. So being responsible is the biggest challenge. Being credible is the biggest challenge, but you have to meet that challenge. Okay. The gauntlet will be thrown at you, and you will have to, you'll have to deal with it. Okay. So the meeting challenges is the biggest challenge, actually. Okay. So you will find hundreds and thousands of challenges. There are endless challenges that will be thrown at you. You will have to meet those challenges. Okay. So from the very basic rudimentary level of getting the number to meeting the person, engaging them in a conversation, the entire thing is challenging, but you'll have to have the guts and the gumption to go for it. And I know that's becoming a very lengthy conversation, lengthy answer. But another challenge, I think, which I feel by the grace of God again, faced with you have to be fearless. You have to have courage. Okay, so sometimes you will find yourself in terrains where there is no water, there is no, you don't have any the basic amenities, and you will have to adjust yourself there. You will have to go through the grind, which I've done. I've gone to Burma, and I've met people in concentration camps, and so you have to really be a person who's ready to, face different types of situations, different types of problems. So the entire thing is a challenge. Yeah, you have to face it.
It was a really
I hope that answers
insightful
the
answer, ma'am.
question.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am,
Okay.
all professions come with a certain myth. So, what is a myth about journalism that you would like to clear for the aspiring young journalists?
Okay. There is a myth about journalism that it's a very glamorous profession. Okay. People think it's very glamorous to be a reporter. It's it's extremely you get a lot of prestige, which is not. I'm not doubting that. But it is also a lot of hard work and grind. Okay, so journalism is not something that is easy. Journalism, of course, yes, there are easier easier kinds of journalism, but the kind of journalism I'm talking about, or that I've done, which is reporting from the grounds in difficult terrains, in conflict zones, in reporting on politics. It's a very difficult job, and there's a lot of grind. You go to the ground, you talk to people. It's also very pleasant. You meet hundreds and thousands of people, and it's wonderful. Go to the villages in Bengal, and you meet these wonderful people. They're so open. They will almost throw open their doors for you and ask you to come and have lunch with them, dinner with them, stay with them. Even when I was covering the insurgency, the Maoist insurgency in the jungles of Jungle Mahal, I spent a lot of time there, and people would say, "You stay with us," and it's I love doing that. But the myth is that it's glamorous. Is that it's it's, yes, it's prestigious, it's glamorous, but behind all that is a lot of hard work, lot of grind. You have to really and tirelessly work. I tell some of my reporters now is that, there is no time. The entire thing about journalism, it's your life. So if you're going to say, okay, my work starts at 9, I go home at 5, then journalism is not for you, because journalism is, to at least for those of us who we are consumed by it, it's like our life. So 24/7 journalism is 24/7 passion, 24/7 dedication, work. Yeah. So the myth is that I don't think anybody considers journalism to be easy. It's not. But definitely it's much more than glamour and prestige. Yes. I hope these are answering your questions. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for
Okay.
clarifying that. It is a perspective teenagers rarely get to hear from someone directly working in the field. Ma'am,
Thank you. I'm so happy.
journalism includes talking to people of different profession, culture, and background. How has talking to so
Yes.
many individuals shaped you and your views?
Absolutely. Lovely question. Thank you for that. I think what I am today, who I am, what I think is an absolute combination of all the people I met, of all the people I spoke to, their views down to the. I sometimes, when I go to places for reporting, I still like to do that, because sometimes what happens as an editor, you just sit down at your desk and but I don't like to do that. I don't want to remove myself from the roots of journalism, which is reporting, really. So I still keep doing that whenever I get the chance to. So I speak to even little children and try to, because children have so much to, they observe, and they speak the truth, and there's so much honesty in what they say. So from the tiniest child to the eldest person, in wherever I go, in the villages, where if I go to, even in even if, when I'm talking about different societies, different cultures, so I speak to a range of people. All of their views have taught me something, enriched me, and not just the really high profile people, like the people who are in governance or others who are actually seen, but those who are unseen, the amazing stories that they have, the amazing views that they are so insightful. My insights have been developed and enriched by every single person I've met, both in my personal life and in my professional life. Because for me, they merge. If you should be in a profession where your personal life merges with your personal, there should be no separation, right? So it should be the same. And journalism, I think, should be that. So yes, I'm completely the person today because of everybody that I am, including the two of you who are talking to me today. So it's all becoming a part of me, right? So all my thoughts, my feelings, my emotions, everything is about that. The person I am today is because of all of that. I'm enriched for it. Yes.
Ma'am, your experience really shows how journalism isn't just reporting, but also constant learning from people.
Absolutely. Yeah. It is. It is learning constantly. Every single second, every single nanosecond is time for learning. And that's so exciting. And I tell people that, as a journalist, never have any limits, never be judgmental about anybody. It doesn't matter who they are. Always try to get the backstory. Why are they thinking like this? Who are they? What is their background? So when you are, even if you're traveling, just say in the public transport, nobody is boring. If you look at everybody's faces, you will see that even that person has a story. Where are they coming from? What do they have for breakfast? Okay. Why are they having that for breakfast? What have they thought in the morning? What are they thinking right now? What work do they do? So when I see people, my questions are like endless. So it's I think I'm innately born to be a journalist, I think. So my father actually did the right thing by guiding me to, take the course there. We had a fantastic, of course, I must mention my, any chance I get, I mention my first journalism teacher, Mrs. Nancy Cox. Mrs. Nancy Cox was a excellent journalist. She taught me how to do reporting. I was in class 9. I don't know which grade you are in now. Class 9 or
Class 11.
11? Okay, so I started journalism when I was in class 9, and she used to send me down to there was a river, just like here you have Ganga, the Potomac River in Washington DC. So she would say, just go down there and see what's going on, in the banks of the river Potomac, right? So I used to go there with my parents. With my parents would drive me there with my sisters. I would go and start observing, and I started to learn how to observe details. So she would tell me that, uh, look for colors. Okay, so the river was different on different colors on different days. One day it was blue. One day it was, during the winter it was full of ice. So the changing colors of the river Potomac, I did a story on that. So it's amazing how you find stories everywhere, everywhere. Even I love to go down to the Ganga, Ganga Ghat and sit there and see how the colors are changing, and all of this is journalism, reporting, watch the colors, watch it's all the five senses, use them for journalism, how taking the scents, taking the sounds, these all sound like cliches maybe, but they're not. Actually listen to them, see the colors, see what people are doing. People are thinking the details. Okay, so that is what, I think, to be a journalist, you can imbibe that also, to just have a lot of, uh, just be open, just be like the river or the sky. The river reflects, the water reflects what the sky is at that moment. So instead of being judgmental, the river is actually reflecting, so, but it has its own individuality also. So you will be an individual, at the same time you will be imbibing the beauty of the world. And sometimes it's not beautiful. I mean, we all know that the kind of news reports we see, it's not beautiful, it's violent sometimes. So journalism also involves a lot of that, but you have to be dispassionate. You cannot be attached to, the story in that sense. You can also I get disturbed when I see a lot of violence, and I keep thinking, how do I solve this? So journalists also, some people disagree that journalism is also activism, but I feel there's no purpose in journalism unless you have a sense of activism. Is that we need to want to solve problems. I mean, I just reporting a problem, reporting that society is a horrible place where all of this happens, so much violence. I think for me, it is important for a journalist to also be sensitive to want to find solutions as the right path of evolution of society. So, as I also tell young children like you, that don't accept that the world is like this. Okay, I said try to change it. It should not be. It should be a very try to develop ways of changing it, which will turn society into a beautiful place rather than some of the horror that we see. So devise ways of ushering in a society where everybody is happy, where, so journalists, I think, they doesn't stop with reporting. I think also it entails a lot of thinking, how to create a better society. That's what is important to me as a journalist. Though I must tell you, children, that many journalists disagree. They think that journalism is all about reporting without. I'm not saying be judgmental, but you cannot stop being uh, an individual who wants to have a goal of something more than just reporting. You're reporting, yes, but what about the report? After that, what? So try and see that, if there's a lot of violence in a place, if there's a lot of disturbance, try to understand. try to understand why it's happening. Try to change. And you're all young people. I keep telling young people that the future belongs to you. Let's have a society which is beautiful rather than, a disturbed, violent society. Yes?
And with that, we have reached the end of another impactful episode of Career Cast. A huge thanks to Ms. Mitra for her insightful guidance, which reminds us that a successful career is a continuous journey of dedication and heart. And for our audience, thank you for tuning in. We hope that today's conversation has not only answered your questions, but has also sparked a new fire of motivation within you. Remember, your career is a story which you write every single day, and we are here to help. Until
Till
next time, this is Career Cast, creating pathways to your future.
One episode at a time.